Hello everyone, my name is Shiroku and thanks so much for being here. Today I have a panel about cosplay photo studios in Japan. And I have been to Japan a few times, for example, 2 years ago, also during WCS, and I visited several photo studios, and a lot of friends asked me how to find these photo studios, how to use them. It's sometimes a bit difficult to understand the rules and the possibilities of Japanese photo studios. So this is what I'm going to talk about today. And if you have any questions, you can always feel free to ask me. Afterwards, I will be at my booth as well. So if you want to know some more about photo studios in Japan, please feel free to visit me and ask me some questions. So this is what I will talk about in today. I have different topics like cosplay in Japan, how to find the photo studios, where to look for. As for foreigners, it's sometimes a bit difficult to kind of understand how you can actually find the studios itself. But there are several possibilities, even for people who can't speak Japanese. And the general rules of cosplay and photo studios. I heard that some foreign friends got kicked out of photo studios because they couldn't understand Japanese and didn't understand the rules. Because in Japan, actually, cosplay is a bit different regarding the rules and the culture. So I will try to prepare you for maybe not getting kicked out at your next visit at cosplay studios. I will also talk about studio types because in Europe, we only have one type of photo studios, cosplay photo studios. But in Japan, there are several types, and also types about photo studios where you would maybe not think about, like hotel rooms you can rent for photo shootings. The next point is I will talk about my very, very, very favorite photo studio. It's Hacker Stadium. This is also the biggest cosplay studio chain in Japan itself. And actually, I think the one in Tokyo is the biggest cosplay photo studio in the world. And I really would recommend you guys to visit this. There's also a cosplay studio which is called Cosplay Crown Studio. And if you're not good in Japanese, I would recommend for you to go there. It's pretty cheap and they're really foreign friendly. So if you can only speak English, you just go there. They will help you. That's not a problem. Yeah, and you have some possibilities to ask some questions. And yeah, I think we should jump in. So actually, I want to give you a small overview about cosplay in Japan itself. So actually, in Japan, it's more commercial. I think here in Europe, cosplay is more a hobby. I mean, it's quietly changing. You can buy a lot of different costumes, but in Japan, there are a lot of cosplayers who earn money as cosplayers itself. They have booths, they are models for different conventions and events. You can book them. So this is why they have a really huge market of cosplay, and of course also cosplay utensils like crafting stuff, makeup, everything you can wish of. And this is actually a second-hand cosplay shop, which is really, really cool because you can get cosplays for 20, 30 euro. I don't know how much is that. I think 10,000 or something like this, which is pretty cheap. And there are a lot of cosplayers who just buy the costumes and sell them the next day, just take some pictures. So if you are in Japan and you want to do some cosplay shopping, it's just paradise, and I can always recommend to go there. Especially in Tokyo, you can find contact lenses and makeup stuff, everything you want to get there. That's pretty amazing. So for cosplayers in Japan, it's actually a bit different than for cosplayers here in Europe. Most of you guys are going for cosplays and conventions to meet up friends, to just meet new people, to just cosplay your favorite character. While in Asia, it's more focused on photo studios, which is also the reason why you have more possibilities in cosplay photo studios in Japan itself. Because for them, cosplay is mostly photo shootings. There are no cosplay events like here or contests. I mean, there is the World Cosplay Summit, but that's the only convention you have actually in Japan, which is about cosplay. You have the amiket and the Tokyo Game Show, but their cosplay is not the main focus. It's just there to meet like photographers or maybe to find people with who you can work with, to the companies you can work with. So most of the more famous cosplayers are actually booked by some companies. You don't have the possibilities like here to just sit around and hang out with your friends in cosplay. They just go for photo shootings or for business purpose. So it's kind of different, and we have a culture here in Europe. For them, the setting and the face makeup is more important than the costume itself, because I think about 70% of the Asian cosplayers buy their costumes. They're not crafting them by themselves. So how can you make a difference? With your wig and the makeup. And that's actually the reason why the face is super, super important. And you sometimes have like cosplayers, they have like 1 million, 2 million followers, and you're like, but she's not even crafting her own costumes. That's because cosplay in Asia is more a model job, which leads again back to cosplay photo studios, because models need photo studios and photographers. So there are actually a lot of events for cosplayers, which are actually photo shooting events. So what is a photo shooting event? Actually, it's like a company, for example, rented a location. For example, a beautiful hotel, a school building, or something similar. And they just rent the whole building and say, okay, this is a photo shooting event. If you want to find this photo shooting event, please look up Cosplay Archive. Cosplay Archive is kind of Facebook. I would say it's the Japanese cosplay Facebook. The actual problem about this homepage is that it's only available in Japanese, but you can look up everything there. If you have like Google Translate, it's actually pretty easy to navigate through this page. Is Google also translate all these smaller options here, and every cosplayer has some kind of their own profile, but you can also look up like the city or the time, and you have a small list of events at which you can participate. So for example, there's one event going on Tokyo on 7th August, and the entry fee is like 2,000 yen. It is from this to this time, and you can get all information on this page. So if you're looking for events or photo studios or whatever cosplay-related things, this is the homepage where you can find everything. Of course, you can also try to use Google, but it is a bit easier to go through this site. So it's like Cosplay Archive, and if you are going to Japan and look for events for photo shootings, they don't have events like this, I would always recommend to go for this. There's also a list about cosplay photo studios and cosplay hotels. I will also talk about cosplay hotels at a later moment. So if you are looking for a certain photo studio in your area, when you are going for traveling to Japan, for example, Tokyo, and you want something to find in Akihabara, this is the homepage I will recommend you guys to visit. We Europeans love to travel to conventions in cosplay. If you do this in Japan, you will get kicked out of the shooting location or the event itself or the photo studio. So if you go to Japan for cosplay, please don't use public transportation or walk around in the city and cosplay. It is pretty rude, and people don't like to see that. I know that a lot of actually European friends did this and also did photo shootings in Akihabara or just out the street. They won't say anything if you are a foreigner, but actually it's really, really rude. they don't want people to cosplay in public spaces. So if you're going, for example, to a certain park and you want to take pictures there, please ask beforehand, and maybe it is only possible if there is a cosplay event. It's actually a no-go, and sadly, a lot of foreigners don't know that it's not possible just to go in cosplay to the next convention or just write the training cosplay. I mean, during World Cosplay Summit, it's kind of okay because the whole Nagoya is the World Cosplay Summit location, but it is actually the only event that it is okay to go in cosplay to the restaurant, to take the public transportation in cosplay. Even if you wear a cosplay and you just go to somewhere to eat, they might deny you the entry. So you always have to change at the location or at the shooting event. It is not possible just to go there in cosplay. And one of the problems I realized is that if you need a long time to get into your costume, you will pay for that. Because you buy a ticket like for 4 hours, and the changing time is included into this 4 hours. So if you need to change into the costume for an hour and change back for an hour, you only have like 2 hours for photo shootings, but you are paying for 4 hours. This is actually also a reason why cosplayers in Japan like to bring more simple costumes or do their makeup beforehand. In some kind of ways, it's okay to do your makeup in beforehand, but if you use like colored contact lenses, it already might be a bit difficult, and they also might deny you the entry. What you can see here right now is like one of the changing rooms. You have, in Japan, you only have changing rooms like this. There are no mirrors. And this is actually the reason why so many Asian cosplayers bring their own small mirrors. And sometimes you only have space like this. You have to change like on this spot. It's especially worse at amiket, where you are sharing the changing room with so many people. It's just, it's not good. It's like hot, it's so many people, it's cramped. But yeah, this is how actually Japanese cosplayers change. And you are also required to change back after the photo shooting, as you are not allowed to go around in your costume. So a lot of foreign cosplayers tried to enter the photo locations in cosplay and got denied entry because of this. But the good thing about our photo studios are that they have all kind of facilities, like for wig cutting or even small lockers, because of course everyone is taking their small bag or small luggage to the photo studios. They are accustomed to it, and you can just lock away of things easily. So there's no problem about that. Of course, if you go for like events which are not like where cosplay is just a side thing, like amiket, you have to drag your own stuff all day with you. But normally if you go for shooting conventions, like events or photo studios, they are prepared and you can lock away your stuff. Also, Japanese photo studios are always required you to have clean shoes, which is really, really important to them. So you will find everywhere like small wipes where you can like wipe your shoes, and they also do checks. And it's like, when you are there, you have to be very considerate. Like, there are some kind of shared photo studios. What is a shared photo studio? So actually you have one huge studio with 3 settings, 4 settings, or sometimes 40 settings. And you have many people there, so you don't book the location just for you, but there are other people who also tend to take pictures at this location. And normally you have about 30 minutes to 45 minutes per location. Of course, if there's no one, you can just grab the space and just take your time. But if you go there like on a weekend or in the evening, you might only have 30 minutes or 45 minutes for your pictures. So that's actually also a reason why Asian cosplayers are really fast in taking pictures, setting up the cameras, and also posing, because you normally don't have the time at all. Of course, if you book an own photo studio just for yourself, like exclusively, you have more time, but it's also much more expensive. Like the typical photo studios in Japan are shared photo studios, and I will also later show you some really beautiful pictures of them because I'm pretty envious about them. I would love to have photo studios like this in Germany or like in Europe. It's also that there are certain areas where it's not allowed to take pictures, like in the changing area, in the area where you are going to start your week. These are pictures actually I got from their homepage because normally you are not actually allowed to take pictures in these areas at all. And there are some interesting restrictions, like for example, there's a studio in Japan. If you have a short skirt, you're only allowed to go there if you wear shorts. So if you don't have shorts, you're not allowed to wear this costume and take pictures there. Or sometimes it's not allowed to go with your shoes on certain areas. So please, please, please read rules. And if you can't speak Japanese or read Japanese, try to inform yourself beforehand because Japanese people love rules and there's so many rules like how many lights are okay to bring, what cameras can you use, are you allowed to use a flash, is it not okay to use a flash, can you touch the props, can't you touch the props, they're kind of particular about it. And I once had a story there, I went there with a friend and he didn't understand Japanese at all and it was kind of difficult because he nearly got kicked out as he was building up like 4 light stands, but only 3 were allowed. And everyone was like, but there was no one there at the studio. It's just us German potatoes. There's not other cosplayers, but they still insisted that only 3 lights were allowed at all. So be careful about things like this, and I always recommend to bring someone who can speak actually Japanese with you guys because it makes a lot of things so much easier. Yeah, this is Heku Stadium, Tokyo. And Heku Stadium Tokyo 1 has 40 settings like this. So you have 40 rooms, which look like this. And this is actually one of the cheapest share studios. That means you go there, you book a time slot, like 4 hours, 10 hours, 5 hours, it depends on your budget, you can choose that freely. And then you can use every location which is available at every moment. If there are some other cosplayers, normally you just line up and wait like there for 30 minutes, and then it's your turn. But this is actually also the reason why you only have 30 minutes for your pictures as other people are waiting there. So, does any one of you guys have an idea how much 12 hours are in such a studio? Any ideas? No? No ideas? 1,000 euro for 12 hours? It's 20. It's 20 euros a person to 30 euros. I think it's like 8,000 to 15,000, something like this. It's not much. It's not much. But you have to pay per person. So if you go there with 3 cosplayers, every cosplayer has to book their own time slot. So you don't pay one price and can just let in like 4 cosplayers and share a price. This is not possible, and it's so-called share photo studios. So that's actually quite nice that you can use all the photo locations, but you have to pay like per person for the entrance fee. And you have to bring your own photographer. Sometimes you have a possibility to use the photographer of the studio, but you have to book it beforehand, and sometimes they're also charging you a fee. Normally you can just book him like for 30 minutes or 45 minutes, so you have to be really quick. They are really quick with like setting, so that's not a problem. But sometimes, yeah, if you need to prepare yourself or you need more time for posing, this might be too quick for you. All these Asians are pretty used to that. Sometimes you see them posing like crazy because they know they have time pressure. It's a bit different than European culture where you just book like a photo studio for 4 to 5 hours and actually you just do pictures for 2 hours and chill with your friends. they were very efficient, I would say, really, really efficient. It's much more about pictures, and sometimes they just go there with a self-timer, so they don't even have a photographer. But if you go, please bring a photographer. They are kind of afraid of foreign cosplayers, so it might be a bit difficult for you to book a slot or to find a photographer, as they are kind of shy regarding people who can't speak Japanese. If you can't speak Japanese, just go to Twitter, ask, I'm looking for a photographer, and this day, and this studio. The photographers normally pay their own share. And you post what cosplays you are going to wear, and mostly you get some people telling you, yeah, I have time, I would like to take pictures of you, because in Japan, there are more photographers as cosplayers. In Europe, it's different. You have more cosplays than photographers, but in Japan, it's not like that. So it's pretty easy to find photographers. They also drop you all the pictures, and you can edit them. You have to edit the pictures because they don't edit the pictures, they just keep them for them. So if you're going to work with a Japanese photographer, you can be sure you will get your pictures, but also that you have to edit them by yourself. But they won't do anything or upload anything you don't like about that. So it's pretty nice, but if you can't speak Japanese, that might be a bit difficult to find someone who might take pictures with you. The good thing about these shared photo studios is actually that they offer so many things. You can get like some stairs or shoes for the photographers. They also have some smaller light equipment and like sun bouncers. So there's a lot of stuff for the photographers themselves. You can also rent a camera or a flash. And that's super cheap, actually. It's like 2,000. You pay for like 6 hours renting a camera, which is, in my opinion, nothing. Because they give you really good cameras, and you even can rent an SD card. So if you have problems with your bags because you already went too much shopping, or you just bought too much stuff and you can't find place for your camera equipment, that's no problem. You can just go there, rent a camera, rent a self-timer, rent everything, and just take your own pictures. It's no problem. They have everything. They provide you with everything. And even if you forget your lash glue or your wig or you use socks, whatever, there's a shop. You just go there and buy it at a shop. So my friend tends to forget her over-knee socks, and she just went to a shop and just bought new ones. So that's pretty cool. Of course, they don't have everything, but a lot of stuff a cosplayer might forget, like wig caps or basic wigs or certain types of shoes. So that's really cool. There are also possibilities to rent requisites, like instruments or small plushies. For example, during the Yuri on Ice high peak time, you could also rent some skating shoes. And during the time where, what was it called? It was some kind of sword game. You could rent the swords there. So they're kind of accustomed to the popular animes and mangas. And you can get always what is popular right now as props. Swords, props, and of course, like for school uniforms, they have bags and stuff like this. Depending on the studio, it is free of charge, but sometimes you have to pay a small fee, like 1,000 or 2,000, to rent it for like 10 to 12 hours, which is, in my opinion, pretty cheap. I was talking about shared photo studios. Of course, there is also the possibility to rent your private photo studio. Private photo studios are the same kind as in Europe. I think you just rent the whole photo studio for yourself. You're not going to share this, and you normally pay a price for the whole room. So if you go there with 10 friends, you share a price between 10 friends. And it's about like 200 euro. I don't know how much that is in your money. But that's also pretty cheap. If you share it with like 10 friends, it's like 10,000, 8,000, and that works as well. There are also the good thing is that you can take your time. The good thing is you don't have other people who might disturb you, who might take away your time, because sometimes at the shared studios, you're just sitting there and waiting for the location for it to be free for like 2 hours, because there are 4 groups in front of you. So having a private photo studio or private rented photo studio is sometimes a bit more easier. And of course, you can just leave your stuff everywhere. And if you change there or have like just a very short skirt, no one cares about that because there are no other visitors as your group. But of course, there is one more type of photo studios which we actually don't really have in Europe. You can rent hotel rooms for photo shootings. There is actually a page especially for hotel photo studios, and you can also stay there. So it's not just taking pictures, but maybe you can also stay overnight. So you just rent the room, you make some pictures, sleep there, take some pictures the next morning, and then go. It's actually really nice if you are intending to stay there anyway. So it's kind of combined price. Sometimes you also only rent the photo studios during the day, as during the night it's occupied by people who actually want to stay in these hotel rooms. So these are some examples. And the hotel rooms actually look pretty cool, like this one. It's not the small business hotels you normally have in Japan. I don't know if you have been to Tokyo before in your life, but the hotel rooms are sometimes very small, like 8 square meters, and that's just, yeah, really, really small, and you don't have space. But if you were in the hotel room for photo studios, as a photo studio for photo shootings, they are always a bit spacious. Of course, because you have your light equipment and you need places as a cosplayer. So you can be sure it will be a bigger room and most likely a really beautiful room. This was one of the ryokans I was staying at. And sometimes you can also ask the place you are staying at, for example, if it's a very nice and traditional inn where you're staying, if you can take pictures there. Sometimes they are not really happy about you asking that because, like, you're foreigners, is that okay? But mostly if you tell them, I'm a cosplayer and I just want to take some pretty pictures, in the inn itself, they're like, okay, yeah, you can do that. So this is also a possibility that even if it's not offered as a photo studio itself, the hotel, you can ask them if it's still possible to take some pictures. And actually, we were allowed to take some pictures, which was really cool. And it is really unique to be able to take pictures in a traditional inn in Japan. There's also one hotel room in Tokyo. I don't know if you know, free like the hot swimmers. And sometimes you see like cosplayers doing photo shootings in a pool. And that's a hotel room, and every Asian cosplayer just uses this specific hotel room to take their pictures. So yeah, it actually might happen that you suddenly see a lot of cosplayers using the same hotel room or the same setting, as it's pretty normal for Japanese cosplayers to rent hotel rooms or shared studios to take their pictures. What I really like about hotels is that you can also stay there and you have all facilities. There's if you're in the bathroom, you can sleep there, you can like enjoy your time with your friends. And because they're pretty huge and much huger than normal hotel rooms are, you can be pretty sure that's a luxurious room, and it's also nice to like kind of feel the atmosphere of what you're going to take pictures of the next day. Pricing-wise, it's kind of similar to a private photo studio, so you pay per room. And they are okay if you are there with 5 people, even if it's just a double bed. If you're going to stay there, there might be rules like it is okay to take pictures with 5 persons, but if you're going to stay only with 2 people, please. But in Japan, generally you pay per room. So sometimes when cosplayers are a bit broke, they just rent it with 5 people, and then we would just sleep on the sofa or on the floor, which is also possible. It's kind of okay, but not okay, but they actually don't care as you pay an extra fee for the photo studio possibilities, so yeah. The thing about hotel rooms is that they are not accustomed to photography, so the light is sometimes a bit bad, or you don't have good windows, and it is always a bit difficult to get the perfect light. So this is also a reason why a lot of Asian photographers works with flashes, is there's just not enough light, or the light is just from above and not very nice to the face. You have to keep this in mind, as well as these are of course a bit smaller than actually photo studios are. So if you have really huge gear or huge soft boxes, it might get a bit cramped. Yeah. So now I'm talking about my very, very, very favorite shared photo studio. It's called Hacker Stadium. Hacker Stadiums has like, I think 6 different branches in Japan itself. Osaka, Nagoya, 2 in Tokyo, and I think in Kanazawa is one, and one in the southern part. I think Fukuoka is also a studio. The Tokyo one is the biggest in the whole world with 40 settings. And this is also the one where you only pay like 20 to 30 euros for 12 hours, depending on the day and depending if there is holiday or not. I mean, it might be that the prices change because I've been there like the last time 2 years ago. Pandemic happened, so I haven't been there like last year. But in general, they offer a lot of requisites, a lot of stuff is included, and you can rent a lot of things like camera equipment, but also for the cosplayers itself, there are a lot of things you can rent, like shoes and props, requisites. It's pretty nice. The problem of Hacker Stadium is that you have to get a membership. And this is actually a problem which a lot of photo studios, shared photo studios have, that you need a membership. I mean, it's actually, theoretically, it's pretty easy to get a membership. You just go there, you say you want a membership, fill out a form, and get your card. And with this member card, you can go to every Hacker Stadium, and you can also buy tickets with the member card. But practically, it might take you 2 hours to fill out the form if you can't speak Japanese. So I've been there once with a friend, and yeah, it was kind of horrible because we waited 1.5 hours just to fill out the form for the membership, and they couldn't speak any English. So if you think Japanese people can speak English, maybe the ones working in the tourist areas like Kyoto and Osaka, but these photo studios are like not really accustomed to foreigners. So if you go there, they mostly can't speak any English. I've been there like during World Cosplay Summit. World Cosplay Summit is a world championship up from cosplay in Nagoya. And there were several little foreign teams visiting the same photo studio because, you know, cosplayers want to take pictures, and it was the only free time. And they kept asking me to translate as there have been no one who could actually speak English. So this can be actually quite horrible if you try to go there, can't speak any Japanese, and try to fill out the form. But if you did it once, you're kind of free to go for the next time. So you kind of invest one time your time and your patience and fill out everything, get the membership, and then the next time you just go in, which is pretty nice. But you have to get this membership first. So, yeah. The great thing about the studio is also that if you go like with friends, and you can just split up, because you can do a lot of self-timer things. They provide everything, and also the rental props and stuff like this are free. They also have a small kitchen, and sometimes you're also allowed in certain areas to eat and to take pictures while you're eating, because the food they make is actually like Instagram food, what we would call like Instagram food, like sebakir with small teddies or bunnies. So this is actually really, really cool what they offer. They also have a small shop, as I mentioned before. And what they actually also do is that they offer photo slots. So if you're there alone and you just take self-timer pictures, but you want some proper pictures and you don't have a photographer, they offer like certain days in a week for like 1 or 2 hours photographer service, which is also free of charge. And you can just download afterwards all the pictures. So this is also a reason why I really, 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 really love this photo studio. They also have small rooms where you can prep your wig, where you can change alone, not in the big room. I mean, there is of course the big room where you have to change with everyone, but they offer also smaller rooms, which is pretty rare actually. Normally they don't have that. Normally you just have a huge room. So if you're a bit shy or just don't want to have like too many people around you, that's actually a really, really good photo studio. But this is also the studio with the most rules I've seen ever in my life. It's like 3 pages. So most likely you will do something against one of these rules because there are just so many. So I know there is some kind of English version of that. Just try to go through it, and then you are free to go to Haga Stadium. I still recommend it to everyone, although the registration process is really, 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 really difficult and super complicated, but it is still worth the experience and the possibilities. And I need to say that the settings you see right here are the old settings. They already have new settings, which are just much more amazing, much, much more packed with stuff and well-maintained. And it's like a really, really good studio for the money you pay. Asians would say, well, it's just a cheap studio, because they have so many possibilities and so many amazing photo studios. For them, this is just like basic, where the youngsters go who don't have money. But like for us in Europe, it's like paradise. So for me, I just luckily and happily enjoy this with friends. So this is Studio Crown. Studio Crown is a photo studio in Akihabara in Tokyo. So if you are in Tokyo, you will be most likely also going to Akihabara, right? Otaku 7 space, shopping everywhere. It's really amazing. I'm missing it already. Akihabara also has a very small photo studio, which is called Studio Crown. And Studio Crown is one of a few photo studios where you don't have to register yourself. You can just go there, get the number. They write down at what time you got the number. You change, take pictures, change back, and then you just go with your number to the counter again, and then we will just charge you like per hour. They are also pretty cheap, but because they only have like 4 to 5 settings, and the settings are very simple. So if you compare the setting here or there with the settings in Haga Stadium, they are much more simpler, and this is also why this studio is cheaper. But this studio is so much easier for foreigners to use because you don't have a registration process. If you want to try out a photo studio, you can just go there, take the number. You don't have to write anything down. You don't have to fill out a form, nothing. You just go there, take pictures, and in the end, you pay. that's actually what I really like about this photo studio. So if you go there and you're like, I just want to try it out and I'm not sure, or I just don't want to fill out the forms, but I want to have experience as a foreign cosplayer to use Japanese photo studios, I can always recommend you to go to Studio Crown. They also offer a service for extra for foreigners that you can also rent a cosplay. They also do the makeup for you and the wig styling, and they also take pictures for you. So there are several possibilities for you to enjoy cosplay photo studios in Japan, but this is like most likely the most foreign-friendly service I've ever experienced in a photo studio. This stuff is okay-ish with English, but they're kind of used to foreigners, so they would just hand you informations or translations so you won't be lost there. The sad thing about the studio is that first, it's very small. You don't have many possibilities or settings. And second, they have no rental service. So if you want to rent a camera, they don't have any. They do offer props, but you have to pay per prop, and it can be quite expensive depending on what you want to rent as a prop. But still, if you're going with friends or if you have someone with a camera, this studio is, in my opinion, something you should try out. And if you have a possibility of someone who is fluent in Japanese or at least can speak a bit Japanese, that's already super helpful. I would recommend to go to Hex Stadium because Hex Stadium is, in my opinion, one of the best shared photo studios you can visit in Japan. Yeah, so that's actually my panel already. But you now have possibilities to ask some questions, or if you have something I should talk about, like things you're interested in about photo studios or cosplay culture in Japan, just let me know and I will just try my best to answer your questions. Does anyone already have some questions? You're all good? If you still have some questions, I will have my booth in the other hall, and feel free to come over and talk to me. I'm there, and I would be glad to have some visitors there. So thank you very much.